What's going on, everyone? So, another person wants a center for the Los Angeles Lakers, and that is Rui Hachimura. So, Rui Hachimura talked about how the Lakers really need a center, and I think it's funny because a couple of reasons. One, because he's right. Lakers obviously need a center. It's something that the Lakers need to figure out, and in my opinion, they need two centers, right? You got to get a clear-cut starting level center and just a better backup, in my opinion. I don't mind if you want to keep Jackson Hayes. But I think he is best suited as like your third big, right? Something that I've talked about is like, can you go do the Mark Williams trade, bring in like a Steven Adams or a Clint Capella, and then keep Jackson Hayes, right? So then now you have that skill big. On top of that skill big, you have now the more physical, bigger, just stronger big. And then Jackson Hayes can be like your JaVale McGee. So you have kind of like the Anthony Davis, the Dwight Howard, and the JaVale McGee, right? The different skill bigs. Obviously, none of those guys are those guys from the 2020 team, but kind of the same idea, same concept, just the 2025 version, right? But the other side of this is I think is funny is because like Rui's the guy that has to defend all the big centers most of the time, right? Like Rui's the guy that has to, like when we play Denver, and we go small ball, he's the guy that has to match up against Jokic. It has to bang with the big boys because he is our more stronger, lower center of gravity type forward, right? He's big, physical, strong, right? Not easily moved around. He usually has had success against guys like Jokic, like Zoo, like some of these other guys, like when the Lakers are going small ball. So he's probably looking at it as like, can you go get 5 centers, right? So I can stop doing that, right? I also think it's interesting, will he actually be a part of it, right? Like, because like he's an expiring contract. I love Rui Hachimura, but the Lakers have a lot of needs. I also think it's very likely that Rui Hachimura is probably getting traded. And it's not because, he's not a fan favorite. It's not because he wasn't good. I mean, he's arguably a third best player in the playoffs, right? And so it has nothing to do with him and his play or anything. It's just he's a $17 million expiring contract. And yes, you need his shooting, but you need shooting and defense and all these other things. And you need big man, you need centers, right? I just think it'd be kind of ironic if Rui Hachimura is like pleading for a center and then they give him the Anthony Davis treatment, right? Like, oh, you want a center? Like, you should probably stop. And then LeBron would really have something to say, right? Because LeBron had the interview and they asked him about it. He's like, hey, the last guy that said he wanted something ended up getting traded, right? Like, so that, I mean, how ironic would that be if like Rui is like, yeah, we desperately need a center. And then it's like he ends up getting traded for that center. And it's like, well, there you go. But no, in all honesty, right? Look, I would love to keep Rui. Problem is, again, he is our most sizable valued contract. Right? He's the only guy that's making the money he's making on an expiring deal, which that by itself has value, right? That by itself, we saw teams want. Teams want to, especially with the new CBA, they want to get off of all this long-term salary and stuff like that, right? So I do think more likely than not, Rui is probably one of the more likely guys to get traded at some point, whether it's this offseason or around the trade deadline, right? Like one of the things that I worry is that, like, how much are they going to be able to do this season or this offseason, right? Because the Lakers' best assets are the expiring contracts. But the longer, like, it's an appreciating asset, right? The longer that they go on, the more valuable those expiring contracts become, right? Like, because an expiring contract is more valuable at the trade deadline because you get all these teams that are like, okay, we want to get out of this player or that player, or we want to hit the reset button, or we want to retool, or, we weren't as good as we thought we were going to be, or we're not as bad as we thought we were going to be, and we want to tank for the bottom, so we want a better draft pick, right? Like, so let's unload some of these veteran guys, but we don't want a bunch of long-term money. So I do think the Lakers, I do think that they'll trade for a center. I do think that you'll get some things. I'm just curious how much of it will be via trades and how much of it will be like free agency signings, right? Like sign a Clint Capella and, whatever, Nickeil Alexander-Walker, and then, move into the regular season with Capella and Hayes, and then, around the trade deadline, now you're trading for, Nick Claxton or something like that, because the Nets are like, man, we really want expiring contracts, right? Like whatever, stuff like that, I think is probably the best value. And with Rui, he's your most sizable expiring contract. He's your most sizable type of move. that you could make as far as that goes. But, beyond him asking for a center and running the risk of being traded, look, he's not wrong, right? Obviously, look, Rob Pelinka even said number one priority this offseason is front court depth. They want to work and get front court help. And then on top of that, they want, 3-and-D wings. They want perimeter help. They want guys out on the perimeter that can defend multiple positions, play multiple positions, hopefully knock down the three ball. Because, again, the Lakers' big problem is just they have too many one-dimensional guys. Or you have too many guys that can, score the basketball but can't defend, right? Or too many guys that can defend but they can't score the basketball, right? Like Lakers, like I've said, in a perfect world, if Rui and Jared Vanderbilt could, do the fusion dance together and fuse into Vanderrui or Ruido or whatever, right? Boom! All of a sudden, you have the best two-way guy in the entire NBA, right? That's what the Lakers need. That's what the Lakers need to figure out. They need a guy like that that can hit the open three as well as defend multiple positions, even serviceably, right? But center is the biggest factor, right? You have to go and land a center. You have to go get a guy that can come in my opinion, like I said, two. I think you need a real starting caliber center. I think you need somebody that can, more of a skilled center ideally, right? Like I said, a Mark Williams, something like that. Can you get a Jalen Duren? Can you get a Walker Kessler, like a young, serviceable, versatile center, right? Even Nick Claxton, I wouldn't mind, but, he's defensively, he has the skills, right? You can defend on the perimeter, defend the pick and roll, be a lob threat, all those things. But you also, I think, need that backup center, right? Steven Adams, Clint Capella, one of these other guys. I've seen people be like, oh, what about, Yabusele or any of these guys? My problem with those guys is we have enough 6'8" guys, right? The last thing we need is another 6'8" guy. We need legit 7-footers and legit size, in my opinion. We need multiple guys that have real size to help us out in that regard. All right. But, it's just, look, Rui's right. If I was Rui, I'd be talking about a center too, because he's like, dude, I have to guard all the big guys. I'm the one that has to defend all these positions, right? I'm the one that has to do all this stuff. So I do think that hearing Rui be like, dude, we need to get a center, I do think makes a lot of sense. But I think it's, in general, I think it's kind of funny and ironic. And, we'll see what the Lakers end up doing this offseason. And again, I think Rui's probably getting traded. Just my thoughts. But let me know yours down in the comments below. That being said, as always, this is a discussion. I want to hear from you. Let me know your opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.